All right. Welcome back, everyone. And we're going to be talking about collective superintelligence for the next half hour. And then we'll be joined by Michael Gaio at the top of the hour, where the topic will be on his series on a new story for humanity, myth and the hero's journey and all kinds of good stuff. That'll be from 2 to 3. And then we'll go deep into strategy after that, starting at 3 o'clock Pacific time. Now, Miles, you had your hand up before the break. Would you like to share now? Feel free.
Thank you, Jamin. So once again, my name is Miles, and I'm in Canada, Alberta, and Treaty 7 territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy. Wanted to clarify a couple of things that I said for accuracy. One of the things I just wanted to, and I've got to respond to Jorge, where he was talking about, just how hard line we are with respect to the use of certain words. I think that's what he was saying. And I just wanted to explain that I think what is really important is not to be too hard line. So for example, right now I'm eating a delicious sandwich made with avocado and olive oil on it with squeezed lime juice and cucumbers. However, the bread that I usually eat, which is a vegan bread, was all sold out. And so I don't think that the bread I'm eating right now is technically vegan. And then I'm in a household where, bless their hearts, we don't get into too many arguments, but I do have to be very careful if I critique what they're eating, because I'm the only one of 4 who's a wannabe vegan. And I'm often, not exactly 100% either. So for example, I say that I do have a baking exemption. My son baked a vegan chocolate cake, but he had used butter in the icing. And so, I admit it, I don't refuse a piece of chocolate cake. However, other than that, I don't use butter, I don't drink milk. And anyway, it's just something for people to think about. And related to that is Greenpeace is now calling for 70% reduction in industrial animal agriculture. So I would imagine that means meat and dairy. So that's a big step forward, right? And yeah, we should celebrate that. It's a big change. Apparently, when Cowspiracy came out, they didn't even want to talk about industrial meat and dairy. So now they're calling for 70% reduction. That's great. Now, to clarify what I said earlier about the Iroquois, or as you say, I believe in the United States, you're more prone to saying Iroquois. So that's the French name for the Haudenosaunee, and an English name for them is the Six Nations. And I mispronounced the chief's name that I referred to. His name is Chief Hendrick. Now, the Iroquois, Six Nations, Haudenosaunee, they actually have the concept of democracy that Benjamin Franklin consulted with them to learn from them. They have the concept of the clan mother, who is the authority to remove a male chief for misconduct. And I, guys in this group here, honestly, when we stop to think about it, if we had clan mothers in the room when we were designing nuclear power plants, I'm thinking they would say, not a good idea. Let's think of some other things that we've done. The atomic bomb to begin with. And right now, I think COVID-19 really is really is the lesser of our concerns. Like nuclear threat is still looming over us. And in fact, I just saw in the headline, I haven't watched it, but now the United States has just tested some supersonic, hypersonic Delta Wing missile, which the Russians recently came out with. These are hypersonic missiles, virtually impossible to shoot down, even if you had a chance to shoot down the conventional missiles. So once again, I don't know how many, if there were clan mothers in the room when these things were being invented, would we maybe be told, hey guys, that's a stupid thing you're doing? Because the clan mothers in the Haudenosaunee, the Iroquois, they were the ones that actually had to give authority to go to war. So let me wrap up and quote to be clear that it's Chief Hendrick was talking about. The concept of democracy, the Iroquois had a lot to do with it. So they're talking about the US concept of democracy, the United States. If you read the discussion by Benjamin Franklin, he was impressed by the concept of agreement and consent, the ability to set up leaders and remove them. 1754 at Albany, there was the plan of the Union. Again, 1754. I think your Constitution was 1776. So this is when the conversations were first started. 1754 Albany. The plan of union came directly from the Six Nations. They asked a Mohawk chief, that was Chief Hendrick, to preside and he explained democracy. And in 1987, if you don't believe me, if you think I'm making this up, in 1987, so 1987, what is that now, almost 30 years ago, your US Senate passed Bill S-76, recognizing the contribution of the Iroquois to the Constitution of the United States, and it passed 100%. So anyway, very powerful to think about how Chief Hendrick said, yeah, okay, you wrote up this Constitution, but you weren't listening very carefully. Where are the women? That's still the situation today. Thank you.
Love you, sweetheart. See you soon. All right, Melissa's heading to her studio, and she'll join us from there. I'm wondering, Miles, if you would like to perhaps make a presentation at some point about what, a lot of the things that you're uncovering, just so we can have a focused conversation about that. I just want to plant the seed. You don't have to answer me now. This actually gets to a really interesting facet of collective superintelligence, which is the intended topic for this hour, which we've only got 17 minutes left of, but that's okay. We'll get back to it during the Shark Tank Strategy segment from 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, right after Michael Gaio's time spot from 2 to 3 p.m. But at least in keeping with the intent of talking about collective superintelligence, let me give a brief introduction, largely for Cesari's benefit. And of course, it'll be good kind of not just review, but just discussion for us all, because in this time of rapid transformation where there's so much fragility in the world right now, per Miles's comment about nuclear missile threats, nuclear plant meltdown threats, planetary overheating, destruction of the biosphere, war, et cetera, not to mention coronavirus, we need collective superintelligence to address all of these. We basically need to come up with a set of machinery for planetary transformation, including the transformation of what people think, the transformation of our story, which is our next segment, And so, so the machinery goes everywhere, at every level, from the spiritual, from story, culture, our entire mode of production of the global economy, our entire set of living arrangements which that economy supports. All of this is in just rapid transformation / free fall right now. And so, you know, the big question is, you know, where do we go from here and how are we going to get there? Collective superintelligence helps us answer both those questions, because as we bring all of our minds together with all of our best ideas and leveraging I'm just going to call it the idea database of Cesare and company, and all these different components, which I'll screen share an image in a couple of minutes here. We have an opportunity to define where we want to get to as a people, as humanity, and given our special place in the world and our power to destroy and our power to regenerate, is bringing us together to not only transform ourselves, but transform the entire world. So defining the direction and the goal, where do we want to get to? What kind of a world do we want to transform to? And how are we going to get there? What are all the mechanisms to get there? All of this constitutes potentially very complex machinery, right? A whole system of machinery, from education to business to agriculture to permaculture to, you know, local neighborhood networks and support systems, all of the above. So it's going to take a tremendous amount of collective intelligence, I believe. I think it's obvious at this point, given how fragile our world is and how damaged it is and how so many vicious cycles are progressing, including but not limited to the loss of global dimming, which is definitely adding to a spike in global average temperatures and the melting of ice, etc. So our basic thesis is that if we bring a substantial portion of humanity together, led by pioneering thinkers like all of you, all of us who are in this meeting right now, we might be able to make it. And we might be able to survive. I mean, the vast majority of humanity and the vast majority of life, which are now codependent in terms of our futures, we may be able to make it, and we may not. But if we do not come together as a collective superintelligence, I think the writing is on the wall that it's very, very hard to imagine how we would make it without collective superintelligence. So collective superintelligence, I see it as a necessary but not necessarily sufficient condition for our collective survival as all of complex life on Earth. And in terms of what collective superintelligence looks like, there's a lot of facets to it. Cesare is bringing really amazing stuff to the table from the looks of it, which I'm excited to delve into and excited for Cesare to present to us at the appropriate time. And in the meantime, what have we been working on? So I will, as I promised, I'll present an image in a moment, sharing what we've been cooking up. But before I do present that image, here's just kind of a real summary basic idea, which is that it starts with the conversational domain, which is where we are right here, right now. And we envision a hyper-connected network of such conversations. Right now, with coronavirus and everyone grounded at home, lots of people are getting on Zoom who have never done so before. So Nolan read to me from a New York Times article yesterday, some powerful excerpts about that, but we're becoming a bunch of Zoomers, right? So a network of conversations is growing quickly, and what's missing is the hyperconnection. connecting these conversations to each other and giving people access to the diversity of conversations that are happening out there. There are, probably, I don't know, tens of millions of video conference conversations happening every day. I don't know what the number is, but it's a huge number. But how would any of us know about, more than a handful of those that we've been personally invited to? Right? There is no directory of conversations. There's no Google of conversations. So a big part of what we are proposing is precisely that. Both a structured directory of conversations that folks can upload their scheduled conversations or series of conversations to, as well as a powerful search engine, enabling people to search among the vast ocean of conversations to find that conversation or those conversations they want to join. How would this come to pass? Well, the directory part is fairly straightforward, assuming we can come up with, just take the old Yellow Pages phone book. You had all these categories and all these businesses organized by category. So it's not rocket science. Likewise, we can have categories of conversations or topics for conversations, and then conversations within those topics. However, most conversations span multiple topics. So how do you manage that? Well, there's a lot of ways that have been developed within the internet over the last 25 years that basically solve these problems. Everything from tagging to keyword search, etc. So, there's really kind of two paradigms that I'm thinking about, and there may be more, and we can talk about this. But one is, like I said, a directory where people self-select and say, hey, I'm having a conversation on these topics, therefore it fits in the directory or catalog of conversations right here, and come one, come all, right? The other paradigm is search, right? There's just this ocean of conversations out there, impossible to categorize them all systematically, so let's create a search engine that lets people search for them, right? I'm in favor of both paradigms, and if there's a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th paradigm, bring them. Basically, whatever it will take to help people create conversations and post them in such a way that they can be discovered, or the opposite direction, find conversations that other people are creating so that they can join those conversations or watch them or read their transcripts, etc. Right? And I just discovered I need to go to the bathroom. So if somebody would like to continue leading this conversation for a few minutes, and then I'll be back, I'd appreciate that. Let's see, quick comment from Cesare. Jamin, LOL, everything you're talking about is the culture of Agora, but is the technology of Agora that enables that. Yeah, we just need to get together and hang together and share. That's kind of what I'm trying to do in an abbreviated way here. But let me abbreviate it further by heading to the bathroom, and Nolan will lead from here for a few minutes, and I'll be right back, and then Gaia will be here at the top of the hour. Be right back. Thanks.
All right. So
I'll jump in and to just say that, one of the things to remember is a lesson we had from, I think it was Shandar from Japan, the professor over there. He was on Block Party a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully he'll come back.
I think.
What was his name?
Sanjay.
Sanjay? Yeah, what a great man. Hope he comes back. And he said, we've just think of intelligence as information gathering. So, wisdom is information gathering, right? So if we think of the word intelligence as that, it encompasses everything. It encompasses the divine feminine because that's information we need to process. It encompasses what I talked about with respect to indigenous wisdom. It encompasses, everything we're talking about because it's intelligence. And even encompasses what Dharmendra does with his collective accelerated evolution, I believe it is, or Carl Jung. Those are all information that we need to embrace and incorporate, integrate. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really curious to hear do you have any flashes inspired by Jamin of things maybe you want to share, or yeah.
Nolan, I don't think anybody got who you were referring to that has any flashes to share.
Oh, is my internet connection?
No, I think it was your hand over your mouth somehow muffled the name, because everything else I heard. Who is it you want to share? Flashes from what Jamin was.
Cesari, is that how you say your name? Yeah, I'm just curious to hear like more about what you've been working on and how you see it from what Jamin's explained so far, how you see the two projects connecting and overlapping.
Well, like I said in the comments, the whole culture that I'm trying to create, that I imagine evolving out of this technology, that I'm, that I've designed this technology to create, is pretty much what Jamin is talking about. The whole idea, because the whole idea, like I was saying earlier, is, if you have a small group of people, they can have a real town hall meeting, and there's enough time for everyone to speak. There's enough time for everyone to be heard. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you're pretty much equal. When you have a lot of people, millions and billions of people, that's impossible. You're not going to get, millions and billions of people and have everyone take a turn to speak. But you can still recreate that dynamic. Our technology allows us to recreate that dynamic, but we're not trying to do away with that citizen democracy. It allows us to decentralize it. Instead of having one meeting where 1 million people show up, or 30 or 300 million, whatever country you're talking about, instead people can use that at different times, at a certain place, at a certain time, to discuss a specific topic that exists within the stock market of ideas, so that people who are interested in that idea can show up, whether they're interested in advocating for it, whether they're interested in advocating against it, or whether they're interested in developing that or improving that idea. Whatever, people can come together to discuss that idea and kind of have like this off to the side working group. But ultimately, in the meeting, the group never decides anything as a group, because the group is just a small piece of the larger society. People decide for themselves individually what idea is the best, but all of that feeds into the overall stock market of ideas. And so that when, if you have, like, let's say 20 people and one person speaks in favor of an idea, and 18 of those people, they think, we don't like this idea, but just one person says, like, you know what, that's a good idea. I actually like that idea. I'm going to take that idea, I'm going to add it to my philosophy. And that is recorded by the stock market of ideas. And so that idea gets the additional support. And potentially that happens in a bunch of decentralized meetings, out of 20 people, just one person. Well, that adds up. And that idea, even though it's only getting like 5% support right now, that's very considerable when you consider that over the grand scheme of things. So that idea jumps up, and guess what? Then more people around the world can see, hey, this idea is rising. Maybe we should go back to talk about that idea again. Maybe we should address that. So again, somebody else can organize another meeting somewhere else at whatever time works for them to discuss that issue. So it's a very decentralized process, but it's a very connected process. I see that being very similar, if not identical, to what John is talking about. But the whole point is that record keeping. It's that idea that we're actually these individual transactions of me having an idea and me propagating that just to one other person. It's not just between me and that other person. It's also being, you know, we keep a record of that in a vertical dimension, let's say, of, you know, of accounting of where that idea stands and within the population. So yeah, that facilitates the organizing process. Okay, so we're seeing that these ideas are the ones that people are supporting. Okay, well, this is what we need to talk about. Whether they're good ideas or bad ideas, let's discuss why people think they're good ideas or bad ideas. And so it is a self-sorting process. You know, it's whatever good ideas, because they're good, people address them, or whatever bad ideas, if bad ideas are popular and they're higher up there, that means more people are aware of that and they can go to meetings. And okay, it might be difficult to explain it abstractly, but let's say, I don't know, I'll say communism is let's say central planning. Centrally planning the entire economy is a bad idea. But let's say a whole bunch of people, that's an idea that's getting up there. And so people see, wait a minute, a lot of people are supporting this idea. So guess what? That means people who are, let's say, economics professors, you know, who are using the system, they're like, well, there's a meeting happening about this topic. I should go over there and I should speak out and at least, you know, take my turn to explain to people why this is a terrible idea. So like I said, it's a way to self-sort this information. People can, it's a way to allocate resources most efficiently of, you know, what the discussion topics are. But all of that, it's all about happening. All of that is about having that citizen democracy, people coming together, really communicating in a sincere environment, taking the time to hear each other out. But doing, you know, having the benefit of doing it in a small group, but at the same time being able to do that on an unlimited scale. And the same thing with the freedom of movement, with each participant being able to attend whenever and wherever it is convenient for them. Maybe they cannot attend this meeting, you know, at this location, but they can attend that meeting about potentially the same topic on some other day with another group of people, because all of that information is always flowing within the system.
Love it. I love what I'm hearing, and I'm super excited to hear more, and also very excited to kind of create a secret love child of sorts between everything we're doing here and what you're doing over there. And welcome back, James. We've got 2 hands raised. We've got Emery and James, and I'm going to ask a little patience from both of you, since Michael Gallo is our guest speaker and leader of conversation for the next hour. And I know Michael's got a lot going on, as a lot of us do. So let's give a warm welcome to Michael Gallo. And I'm going to go ahead and start a new recording. Let me just give me